All right, so if you care, you may have noticed that a number of years ago, actually pre-pandemic, which is crazy to think about all the time now, I started a little series called NJ Represent, and I visited the Devil's Tower in Alpine, New Jersey, and Shades of Death Road. And I always knew I wanted to do something more with this series rather than just going to weird NJ sites and rambling about the history and backstory. I also want to visit actual establishments, like kind of local legends kind of places that people in small town New Jersey visit all the time and everyone in the community knows. Because I feel like that's important to document and to just talk about. And I love New Jersey because obviously I live here and NJ represents. So, what better way to inaugurate this new step forward than to visit my favorite bookstore, the Chatham Bookseller? When I was in college, I visited this bookstore all the time, and even though I no longer am in that area, I still make an effort to go and buy books there. And so, yeah, let's take a trip. Let's put on our jacket. It's fall now, and here we go. And so here we are, smack dab in the middle of Madison, New Jersey. Let's go check it out.
The Chatham Bookseller has been a staple of Madison Township for over 50 years. The shop started in 1968 in the neighboring town of Chatham, but retained its name after moving to Madison in 1970. Madison is very much a college town. You have St. Elizabeth's, Fairleigh Dickinson, and Drew University. Having gone to college at Drew, I grew up with fond memories of walking down here to the center of town to visit the bookshop. It was a great place to find cheap, used books from literally any genre. The shop rivals any Barnes & Noble with its extensive topics. You have the old and rare books, the modern books, classic literature, children's books, Shakespeare, sci-fi fantasy, vintage paperbacks, LGBTQ, books about books, all the history you can imagine. You've got references, weird and occult stuff. You even have books that are a little steamy, you know. So you have a little something for everybody. The Chatham Bookseller has switched hands over the years. New management took over in 2015, and a new vibe was brought to the store, especially since it began selling more memorabilia and ephemera. As of this year, the new owner started allowing people to venture downstairs into the basement. If you thought there was a lot upstairs, the basement has thousands more books. An unbelievable load of books and ephemera everywhere you look.
It really makes you think. We write down so many things. Just when you think we've written enough, someone writes more. There's always something to say. You know, you think you've read everything, but you haven't. I mean, a long time ago? Yeah, that was a long time ago. I don't know you. I don't know Margaret Kennedy. I don't know Baroness Bunsen. Like, it's just amazing how much stuff there is out there to explore and discover and read. Homes of Primeval Man. I wonder what the mortgage on that one was.
So today, we'll actually sit down with the current owner of the Chatham Bookseller and learn some more.
Oh, hi. I'm Richard Chalfin, owner of the Chatham Bookseller.
First off, I noticed you have a theme here, some Thanksgiving books.
Yeah, this is our display table. We always like to do, let's feature a subject, let's feature a person or stuff like that.
I'm going to need to keep cutting because it's a very popular store. There's always people coming in and out. But
yes.
Yeah, it's a local, hotspot.
Take a number.
So what drew you into managing the Chatham Bookseller?
Well, I used to be a book scout in the city. I would look for old books or books, individuals schools, businesses would ask me to find books for them. And this was before the internet. This was in the 1970s. And so I would ask my father, who had a bookstore, if he had these books, because I was a dancer and I hurt my knee. So he said, well, this is a good idea for how you could do something while you heal. You could work from your home, and we could put an ad. We put an ad in Ellery Queen's mystery magazines so I could find mystery books that my dad would have. So I would do that. But it turned out that a lot of the things people were asking, he didn't have. I've heard about Book Row in Manhattan, which was like 4th Avenue, and it had bookstores from, say, like in the Village all the way up to 14th Street. So that's where I would start to go scouting for people. I would ask the booksellers. These are old-fashioned guys. They'd say, "What are you doing?" I'd say, "Could I put this book on hold?" Because then I'd get in touch with the customer. And they go, "Well, what is this? What do you? You either buy the book or you don't buy the book." And it was like I couldn't just buy it. So that's how it started. And then, and I was getting business because, I was the only way that people could really look for books was using a book scout. Then the internet highway suddenly opened up, and it was like people could find books on their own. Mm-hmm. And so could I. I could go online and in a minute find a book. It was like, wow, this is like miraculous. Then I started to realize that, if you have inventory, you can sell the books. You can have the books and sell them. I don't have to go running around all the time. So that eventually became what our sources were. The books that we'd put them online and sell them. I never wanted to open up a bookstore, I just didn't. I just wanted, I was pursuing the arts, I did some dance and some stand-up. I always tell people I'm a 4th generation bookseller. The first 300 years were slow, but things are picking up now. Yeah, so that's how I evolved into it. And this used to be a source of mine. I'd come out and look, I'd ask the owner, what does he have for me, And that went on for years, and then there was another bookstore, the Old Bookshop in Morristown. I'd go there. So it was a good source for me to buy books to resell. And then finally, I was getting older. I was getting tired of running around. And it just so happened that the owner said he became the head librarian at Drew University. They wanted him to be that. The theologian librarian, and he needed to sell the store. So I said, what the heck? I was in a business relationship that wasn't working out in Manhattan, and I just decided, I'll take a jump and do it. And it's been great. It's really been a life changer. You meet people, you're just working with smart individuals, and you learn a lot, and there's some just interesting experiences that you get. And then you learn about the history of book publishing, and why this book was so much stands out more than another book, and little facts about what makes a first edition, and just the rarity of some items.
Yeah, I always love looking for first editions, and I eventually learned some terminology of first printing and first editions, because I've noticed some people they say, oh, this is a first edition, but they don't realize it's not a first printing. It's not the first ever time it was printed, and
Right.
that changes, you know,
Yeah.
the value of it entirely.
I
So
know, because
it's very interesting, and I feel like, you know, it's one of those niche things that, like, you know, the average book reader might not realize at first, and then once you discover it, you're like, oh wow, so this was printed, you know, that many years ago under a different publisher, and then they went out of business, and now it's reprinted, et cetera, et cetera. So it's funny how you didn't want to start with book selling at all, and now here you are.
Yeah, I didn't feel I could deal with the public. It was like, you know, because when I was at my dad's store, he had a store in Passaic, he'd say, I'm going out for a minute, and I'd just freak out. And people would come up to me, hey, your father said it's this much money, you know. What, you know,
They're like, I'm looking for this, and you're like, I don't know what it is.
So
funny.
yeah, and then you just learn, you know, to believe in yourself, and that, you know, you can handle this. It's not the end of the world.
You know, you mentioned Book Row in
Yeah.
New York City, which I always heard was, you know, back in the day, there was so many bookstores. That's where around where the Strand is.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Obviously, a lot different nowadays. Do you feel like in recent years, like maybe past 5 or so years, independent bookstores have kind of be having a resurgence?
Yes. As far as opening a store and selling, you know, what you feel, you know, there's an audience for. It's a different generation, so you don't really have as much of the classics of a used bookstore. Like the enterprising young people, they'll pick like romance novels. There's a store that just does totally romance and fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So those very specific kind of stores open up. They have specific niches.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much a general store as it is like a niche.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm finding is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like what we have, it's I don't know if there's as much of a
like a theme or like a niche genre.
Yeah, as much as
general old
people wanting to open up a store like this. But I see that the stores still open, you know. And also I think because they know how to reach people, you know, social media.
Yeah.
You know, I did this little vignette with my social media person, and it got 500,000 views. I mean,
that was going to be one of my next questions. You know, I noticed that you've been very active on social media for the store, on TikTok and Instagram, and you also have a YouTube channel. So, like, how did you start all that? Like, what?
Well, what got me started was because I've been a performer most of my life. That I like to capture some of my ideas and my you know, comedy and dance on video and put it out there. And so I was working with a coach, and she told me how to do that. And we did some scenes here. We did like a redo of Flash Dance. That was great. It was great. And we did some bits. My brother, he's an art director, so he knows this stuff. And so this was the great place to do it. It was just the atmosphere, and you know, I just would find that if you have a space, use it.
Yeah, and I feel like you use the space very effectively. I remember I used to go to the chiropractor when he was over here right next door, and one day we were, because the receptionist was back by the alley over there, and we all noticed that there was some commotion in the back, and we look out and we see you coming out of like this giant shipping box. It's like a video. I remember the chiropractor being like, "What the hell is he doing?" but that's great. Like,
I was raised by boxes. That was the theme of it, so it came out. So yeah, you take a theme, you know, like I did one with my wife. She did a Shakespeare scene, where she comes in, because sometimes people start reciting in your bookstore. It's like, well, keep it down. So she's reciting, and how do you get them to stop? So I treated it like it was the animal kingdom. We're here, and there's a Shakespeare thespian here, and we'll have
natural
to
habitat.
Well, let's throw her a copy of King Lear. So she does it, and then she starts reciting, which she does amazing. She's so funny. And we did the book Zombies, where people come to bring books to sell, and it's after a while, it's like, close the doors.
As an independent store, how did you manage through the COVID-19, quarantine?
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, we couldn't do it in person. They said, by the curbside. Yeah, I did a few of those, but I kept doing the mail order. So I'd come out. I used to come out. I thought I'd get arrested. It was like they said, don't stay home. It was like, wow. So I drive through the Holland Tunnel. I live in Brooklyn, and I drive through the Holland Tunnel hoping they wouldn't stop me.
Don't drive over the speed limit. Just
I felt
don't draw attention.
I know. I thought I was going to get arrested or something. But I just came in. Nobody was allowed in. I just did the shipping and dropped it off at the post office.
That was the time that I was worried, because I'm very pro independent stores and stuff like that, and I was worried oh no, what's going to happen to this store or that store? But it's great that this is still thriving.
Oh yeah. I find that even though you can get everything on Amazon or like that, people love to discover, and that's what it is. They come here, they're looking for something, and then they find something else. It just piques your curiosity. You can get lost in here, just shut off all of life's problems.
Yeah, and I would also argue that you can find stuff here that you can't find on Amazon. There's very niche old stuff that is out of print and has been out of print for many years, and it still can be very readable and entertaining or useful to whatever you want to read about or learn about.
Yeah.
What's the number one reason you think somebody should shop at an independent bookstore?
Oh, well, you're helping a small business. It's a personal thing. You really have a kind of a close relationship with the people who work here, and you can share stuff, share your ideas, and it's it doesn't have to be a place where you buy some high-end thing. We have stuff for everybody, and people love that. You can just come in and browse. You don't have to feel intimidated. You don't have to feel like someone's watching what you're doing. You just kind of come in and look.
So what kind of books do you buy and don't buy here?
Books that sell. That's what we buy. The main thing is we love when you bring new stuff in. That's just, that's pretty much just a few months old. That's great. But our main, I think, main form of income would be the rare books. Getting the rare books, and that's what we strive for. Getting one of a kind stuff.
And what's the rarest book you've seen, and is it still here?
Well, we had a set of biography of Abraham Lincoln.
Oh wow!
And it was 26 volumes. I think 26. I don't remember, but the last two volumes had these letters and documents from different presidents. His secretary, they put all this stuff together over 30, 40 years and made a biography. And one of the letters was a note of permission for a ship to sail during the Civil War, and it's signed by him and sealed.
Wow.
So that was
There's
pretty
a
cool.
lot of interesting stuff in there. And
Yeah.
how much? Do you remember how much that goes
That
for?
was like I sold it for like 17,000. Yeah.
And what's the weirdest book you've ever seen here?
Well, it's hard to think, how to deal with attacking zombies.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of. I think I saw it still downstairs last time I was here. It's called Halloween and Satanism.
Yeah, right. You told me
It's,
that. Yeah.
it's pretty much what's on the cover. You know what you're getting into. But
Oh well, there's one book that's really rare. Is called Gadsby. It's a book without the letter E in it.
oh wow,
The whole book was without. Yeah, we have
that's
it.
really
We
cool.
have it. Yeah.
Oh. Can we see a rare book?
All right.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Let's go.
Let me see if there's something right here.
All right. So we have here. What was it again?
Libro della Guerra de Gotti,
And this is from the 1500s.
1542.
Wow.
It's in great condition. In those days, the pages were differently numbered. See, then it goes to 17, it goes back.
Oh, like different books within the book.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's leather and wood. You can feel it's really hard.
That's nice.
Yeah.
What do you mainly like to read?
I like nonfiction.
Any specific topic, nonfiction?
Well, like,
biographies,
yeah,
or-
I like biographies. Like, I liked Bruce Springsteen's autobiography.
I still have to read that.
I thought that was good. About people who really affect me. Oh, you got to read The Power Broker
Oh, I have
by
not read
Robert
that.
Caro.
I've seen that.
It
like,
took me
all the
8
time.
months, but it was worth it. It was worth it. He really, page by page, is like terrific. It
Yeah.
tells you about New York. I'm a New Yorkophile, so
Right. Is that your favorite book?
I'd say yeah.
Oh.
I would recommend it to read.
Also, your favorite author, or do you have a favorite author?
Well, I'll always have my favorite author will be Harper Lee, because I once got a call looking for a book, and she had a Southern accent, and it was When Rain Clouds Gather, and she said, can you get that for me? I said, yeah, I'll look it up, because I was a book scout at the time, and I found it, and she said, oh, that's great. I said, oh yeah, can I have your credit card and your name? Yeah, Nail Harper Lee. I said, any relation to Harper Lee? She said, that's my best friend.
Oh, wow.
So I said, let me call you back and check. And I said, is that Harper Lee? So I confirmed that the book was available, and I called her back, and I said, are you Harper Lee? She said, that's right.
Oh, wow. Oh, my
I
God.
said, are you kidding? I can't believe it. You never know a man till you walk in his shoes. I was quoting from the book. Said,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
that's so sweet. Listen, if you ever get a copy of my book, just send it to me. I'll be glad to sign it. I said, that's great. That's great. So,
And did you get a copy?
so yeah, I found a copy. There used to be a thing called AB Weekly.
Mhm.
And I saw To Kill a Mockingbird, first edition. So I said, I called them. I said, do you have it? It didn't have a jacket. I said, yeah. I said, can you check if it says first edition? He said, yeah, it's the first edition. $10.
Wow. Imagine that.
So I sent it. I got it. And then I lost her information.
Oh, no.
A year later, I found it on a postcard, her P.O. box.
Mm.
So I just said, you know what? I'm just going to send it to her. So I sent it, and, we just said, look, I'll leave it up to fate. Sure enough, I get a call. She goes, hi, Richard, this is Miss Lee. Yeah, I got your book. I'll be glad to sign. I said, don't do anything. You don't have to trouble yourself. We'll send FedEx down. Please don't go out of your way. So no, that's all right. I come up to New York every once in a while. So I said, oh my God, it's so thrilling. And
That's
I
great.
usually would go out on Fridays to look for books,
Mhm.
but that day I said, you know what, I'm going to stay in the office. Sure enough, the receptionist goes, Richard, there's a Miss Lee here to see you. I said, what? Kidding me? So we walked down, and I had an assistant and a guy who became a famous author, Victor Laval. And we just stood there, and she said, Richard, and she handed me the book, and I gave her a hug, and I said, oh my God. I said, I owe you one. She says, I know. So I named my son Harper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's
I always am
lovely.
so moved by the book.
Yeah, it's a great book. Yeah, definitely an American classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is an underrated book?
See, that's a tough one. I'm not that, an underrated book. I don't know. I wouldn't. There's so many authors that don't get the recognition.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like also nonfiction.
What do you think?
Not a lot of people read nonfiction, or they're not as popular as the fiction. So I feel like you might innately read a lot of underrated books to begin with. Like Power Broker. I don't feel like people consciously think of the Power Broker, on a daily basis. So that could be, I think for me it would be it's the guy who wrote Johnston Livingston Seagull.
Bach.
The Reluctant Adventures of a Messiah, something like that. I read that when I was a teenager, and I just felt like it was mind-blowing because it was just like a different perspective on, reality. It's basically about he's not Jesus, but he is a Messiah, but he decides not to save the world. And this guy wants to know why. And so he goes through a journey, and then the Messiah teaches him, how to walk through walls and stuff like that. And he eventually comes to realize, the greater reality of the universe. Because I'm very big on the Matrix movies. So that whole thing about what's real and what's not and stuff like that. So
yeah, I'm reading Paul Auster now, The Glass City.
Oh,
the first of the trilogy, and it's like that. I have 20 pages to go. I'm curious how that's going to end because it's sort of like, who am I?
mm-hmm.
Is this real?
Do you have any pet peeves when it comes to books?
Well, I don't like big books. It's just they're hard to store, they're hard to display. Very difficult. Especially, exhibition catalogs. They're not the greatest pictures. They're little things. They just reflect an exhibition of an artist instead of a really good illustrated book.
Yeah, I don't like it when people fold the corners of pages.
Oh yeah.
I always use a bookmark. Always.
Or if they write in them, forget it.
That's the other thing. When I could be looking for a book that I really, really want, and I finally find it, in like a used bookstore like this, and I open it and it has all this writing in it. Like someone could. I also don't like it when I don't like to buy a book where you open it and you see that it was like a gift to someone. Like it's like, hey John, miss you, blah blah blah. This is your birthday gift. I feel like I'm taking away someone's memory. I'm like, I don't want to buy this now.
Sometimes we get books with that inscription, and when we list it online, someone calls up and says, was that made out to Joe Schmo, and they go, oh, yeah, they want to know what happened to the book they gave to a friend. It's like you're putting a certain...
like sentimental value in that,
Yeah, it's like, then you find out, she broke up with me, and now she sold it,
Lastly, before we end the video, do you have any particular final message or for the audience or any special shout-outs?
Yeah, call first if you're bringing books. Just come on in, we'd love to meet you, and, we can talk the book talk, and and we have a newsletter, so it always tells people what we are looking for and what we're offering. We always have a new arrivals, so come on down.
All right, thank you. This was Richard. Thanks a lot.
Oh, yes.